guys, so we're back with another episode of Taco Imposters. The date today is February 20? No, February 18th, 2019. I was going to do it yesterday, but there's a lot of complications in my life, so that you don't need to know about, so. But, yeah, so. I don't ever know what to talk about with these episodes. I just kind of go for whatever. Let me see what there is to talk about. I usually just go off of what other people say, stuff, you know. I've been watching a lot of, like, people's videos on YouTube that are trying to be educational. But then I just find that some of them are just stupid. I don't know why. Well, I kind of get why, because they're like, I don't know. The way people do it, it's just like, oh, it's stupid, you know what I mean? Because, I don't know. I wish it was more straightforward, just here's educational, here's what I can learn from it, and here's what you can do with it. But it's very good at being, no, we're going to be kind of also entertaining, which is good, I guess, but I don't know. Yeah. Here in Canada, well, I'll give you an update on what's happening here, because it's kind of a big story here in Canada. There's supposed to be a pipeline, okay, from Western Canada, Alberta, where the oil is, or natural gas pipeline. Let me just look it up. Don't want to get this wrong. Canadian pipeline. No, I just want to know what the pipeline is. Going after Canada where it hurts the most. GTA Real. Oh, no. Pipeline in Canada. Everything you need to know. There you go. See, look. So, there's a pipeline. Let's look. Yeah. Okay, Coastal Gas Link to LNGs and Bill C-69. You've heard all of the terms in the news. Here's what they mean. Pipeline that moves oil and natural gas are big businesses. They're also a huge source of controversy. See, I'm getting there. During complaints from environmentalists that we need to invest in renewable energy industry that we're not building them fast enough to keep up with the supply alike. Add to that the concern of affected communities and the complicated process of obtaining true consent from the First Nations. See, that's the thing that's happening. The First Nations are saying, no, you cannot build on my land. Because we've been, what's the word I'm looking for? We've been screwing with we've been abusing them, and we've done bad things to them for years and years, right? They don't want the pipeline, right? Or a lot of natives don't want the pipeline, but then there are natives that do want the pipeline. There's some natives that do want the pipeline, and then there's some Canadians who don't want the pipeline, and some Canadians who want the pipeline. It's very mixed. It's not 100% like, oh yes, everyone wants a pipeline. And so, the complicated to build on unceded land. The federal government set new controversial standards for pipeline approval by passing the Bill C-69 in June 2019. So last year. Okay. Environment Minister Catherine McKinnon rejected most of the Senate's industry-friendly amendments to C-61, which Prime Minister Justin Trudeau claims would make Indigenous consultation optional. See? Because our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is like, well, it's optional. We'll take this bill. We'll make this bill, I guess, or part of this bill. Let me see. Most of the Senate's industry-friendly amendments, right? And then, or is it C-60 claims would make an indigenous consultation optional amid oil sands development and pipeline projects from federal reviews and indeed even block Canadians from having a say on the project. Ooh, wow, that's not good. Also in June, the federal government announced reapproval of the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Earlier, the National Energy Board decided that despite acknowledgement that that there would be significant negative effects to the environment, the economic benefits of the Trans Mountain Pipeline, which currently runs through Alberta to the British Columbia coastline, are in the pipeline interests. Okay, so you see, we're going from Alberta to British Columbian coastline. So if you know Canada, it's like that's all the way to the. Is it all the way to the west? Let me see. I don't think it's all the way to the west. Is it all the way to the west? I live in Canada. I don't know this. It's a little sad, but it's a little bit sad, but okay. No. What? Go back? Okay, there you go. How do we do tab? These must be tabs, right? Card view. Okay. Okay, don't use anymore. It's card view. Okay, good. Now, come on. Give me this. Map of Canada. Okay, there you go. I know. So, Canada. There you go, Canada. Just give me this one. Simple. No, sorry. British Columbia. Oh, Alberta to British Columbia. That's what it said? Let me see if I can do this. Okay, and this. Where is it? Your British Columbian coastline. Oh, so it's not. Okay, never mind. So here's how it works. It's like this. From Alberta, apparently. So Alberta is right here. Whoopsies, what did I just do? Oh, there, I smoothed it down a little. Alberta to the British Columbian coastline, which is right. Whoopsies, it's hard to right there. I don't know if you could see that very well, but Alberta to the British Columbia coastline. Okay. No, it's a little higher. There. Riverside currently runs through Alberta to the British Columbia coastline. The Trans-Atlantic Pipeline are in the public interest and should be approved in the company. Should be approved if the company can meet 156 conditions spanning from environmental protection measures to consultation with affected indigenous communities, and of course, we're finally acknowledging that we're in the middle of an environment crisis, making any decision that carbon emissions making any discussion about carbon emissions even more frightening. We don't want the province of Alberta to go down the tubes economically. Yeah, because they run on like a lot of oil and stuff. Going in tubes economically. It's bad for the country, but nor do we want to destroy our environment, and we've got to do something about climate change. Yeah, he wants because what we've done for plastic stuff is I think by 2021 or 2020, something like that, or like this. It's like next year and the year after. I don't remember, but it's we're getting rid of all disposable plastic cups. Not cups, plastic spoons and forks and stuff. So, and then straws are going to next. I think. I don't know. But here's the thing. I've heard that those metal straws taste like metal. Like they taste weird. I don't know if that's healthy to taste that weird, but hey. says Nancy Ollie Willer, a professor of economics and public policy at Simon Fraser University and a commissioner with the Eco-Official Commission, a group of economists that work to align Canada's economic and environmental aspirations. Soon after Justin Trudeau was re-elected in the past federal election, which was last year. No, 2018. Sorry. No, it was last year. 2019. Sorry. Yeah. He confirmed he would move forward with the Trans Mountain Pipeline, a case at the Federal Court of Appeal launched by 6 Indigenous applicants seeking judicial review of the federal cabinet's second approval of the pipeline was recently dismissed. Trans Mountain Corp announced they will officially start construction of the Trans-Canada Pipeline in December of 2019. After years of delay, it's set to be finished by mid-2022. See right here. It's supposed to start then. I don't think it has. The problem is that there are Indigenous people from the tribe, I believe it's called the Wet'suwet'en tribe, okay, who don't want it, don't want the pipeline. So they decided to block the train line. So places like Via Rail, we get food by train. You can't go. They just can't go. Like, they cannot go. See? Pipeline protest. Let's see. Not the actual protest. I don't care. I want to know just a little bit about it. Canada Pipeline. Say no to Kinder Morgan. It's not too late for the government to rethink its approval of this pipeline. Climate facts. Facts matter. David Suzuki. No, so I'm not saying David Suzuki's bad, but I'm just saying David Suzuki is very hypocritical. That's the thing with a lot of people and environment. They're like, well, we gotta change the environment, right? We gotta fix the environment. We gotta do something about climate change. And they still go and fly on a plane that uses gas, or David Suzuki used to drive Hummers. I don't know if he still does, but like, and they use a lot of gas. It's weird, or it's like hypocritical. But I guess if you really break it down, what are you gonna do, right? Oh, I'm just gonna stop using these. You're gonna come up with a better solution. It's like, yeah, but I'll be the first person to say, no, we cannot use this or whatever. I don't know. Because that's the problem. Like they were saying in the pipeline, there's economic factors to this, and then there's environmental factors. Like, you don't want Alberta to go down the tubes economically, but we need to do something about the environment, right? It's not easy stuff to figure out. I would not want to be the Prime Minister right now. I would not want to be the Prime Minister right now. Canada can still accept trouble from the hardline environmental movement. Trans Mountain Pipeline. Not the last obstacle. Trans Mountain Pipeline. Our next move, Supreme Court. See, because we can also tell them, no, get out. Get off this private land, whatever, for the trains, right? But we're not doing that right now. So, I don't know. Like Canada's, like the government's not doing that. Like the government can do that, but they're not doing that right now. So it's like, I don't know. And then what else? National Pulse. Trudeau says he wants quick, peaceful resolution as rail blockades continue to wreak havoc. Oh. Ottawa committed to quick, peaceful resolution to cross-country pipeline protest. See? Let's read from CBC. PM said he's been in contact with Indigenous leaders and premiers, but didn't get into detail. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says his government his government is committed to finding a quick and peaceful resolution to the anti-pipeline blockades that have shut down swaths of the country's train system and temporarily blocked bridges and highways. See? That's the thing. They're like, no, you cannot build here. Like, stop. No. These is the Wet'suwet'en? I think so. So, temporarily blocked. The closed-door meeting followed a week of government pressure on the Liberal government to end the blockades, which started earlier this month. In response to the planned construction of a $6.6 billion natural gas pipeline in northern British Columbia and called Coastal Gasline. Called Coastal GasLink. That's what it is. Okay, so it's natural gas. Okay. Speaking briefly to reporters after stepping out of the building across from Parliament Hill, the houses that houses the Prime Minister's office, Trudeau said he had reached out to a number of premiers and Indigenous leaders to discuss the standoff. See? I don't know about that, though, because it's not really doing much. It's still a problem. I don't know. I understand how worrisome this is for so many Canadians and difficult for many people and families across the country, he said. We're going to continue to focus on resolving the situation quickly and peacefully, and that's what we're going to do. Well, I hope you do a good job, Trudeau. That's all I have to say. The Prime Minister, who cancelled a 2-day trip to Barbados this week to deal with the crisis at home, did not take any questions before being driven away by a RCMP security detail. Okay. Other ministers in the discussions included Indigenous Services Minister Mark Miller, Public Safety Minister Bill Blair, B-L-A-I-R, Blair, Natural Resource Minister Seamus O'Regan, Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Carleen Bennett, Finance Minister Bill Morneau, Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland, Government House Leader Pablo Rodriguez, and Justice Minister David Lametti. According to the Prime Minister, PMO. That's what that means. Trudeau cancels trip to Barbados. Yes, I know that. The emergency meeting was held after more than a week of protests against the natural gas pipeline that crosses Wet'suwet'en territory in northern British Columbia. Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs are opposed to the project, though the elected representatives of 20 band councils along the pipeline route support it. That's the problem with it. Like, they care. Like, they're like, oh yeah, they like it, right? Or the 20 band councils along the pipeline route support it, right? Because there's like councils that we talk on their behalf kind of thing. But then they're like, but we don't want it ourselves. We don't, like, the Wet'suwet'ens don't, there's a lot of Wet'suwet'ens who don't want it. I mean, there's some who want it, but Wet'suwet'ens want it. Or Wet'suwet'ens who don't want it. These protests have manifested themselves as blockades on different rail lines across the country that have ground a significant amount of passengers and freight traffic to a halt. See? They're mounting political pressure for Trudeau to put an end to the blockades, which includes sitting down for the first time the Thousand Islands bridge border crossing near Kingston, Ontario. Because that's the thing too. Where is it? What are you gonna do though? That's the problem is, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do instead? How are you gonna bring this gas stuff You know, we need renewable energy, which I'm sure doesn't really exist. I don't know. I'm not a environmental person, very big environmental person, but I've heard that it doesn't, or it's not as reliable and it's not as good. I don't know. We do have to do something about environment. I have to say that. It's just I don't think we have like 12 years. I think we have longer than that, but the Ontario Provincial Police indicated they didn't plan on breaking up the protest, which began around noon local time. That's the other thing. As Canadians, we have the right to protest. We have the right to protest in Canada. It's not illegal. We have the right to protest. As long as it's peaceful, we have the right to protest. Which began around noon local time. Saying the OPP, Ontario Provincial Police, has no role to play in the underlying issue of the event and is not in a position to resolve them. Protesters lifted their blockade of the bridge some 2.5 hours later. Oh, really? They did. Oh, okay. Mounties in Manitoba also reported about 8 in 10 demonstrators at a CN 8 to 10 demonstrators in a CN rail crossing on Highway 75 in southern Manitoba. The highway and rail line ran south to the U.S. border, crossing at Emerson, Man. Via Rail, meanwhile, says all of its passenger service remained cancelled, with the exception of the Sudbury to White River train in northern Ontario and the Churchill to the Pass train in Manitoba, as neither uses CN rail tracks. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Some people can't go anywhere with like CN. Oh, sorry, Via. That was Via Rail, right? Yeah, Via Rail. Via Rail is a Canadian rail, so it's like, See, I don't know what to do about this. Like, we don't do very good. Like, we don't treat the natives very well. Like, that was just like, if you read before, right, from the other article, it was like, oh yeah, he could have made this optional. So made, consulting with the indigenous, the native people optional. So, but we've been taking their land. Like, they had land, and then the white man just came in and took it, right? Took a lot of, or screwed with them. So, I understand they're like, they're mad at it. But the other thing is, what are you going to do about it, right? Well, the pipeline is going to be a good thing, right? It'll bring gas to the other parts of Canada. It's like, but the natives are like, no, don't go through my land, don't go pillaging my land. There are people, and then you got the whole thing of like, well, they're doing that for their religious reasons, because like, oh well, the spirits are in. I don't know. That's a bunch of baloney. I think, because it's I'm a Christian, so that doesn't make any sense to me. The spirits in the trees and the spirits in the oh god, no offense. I'm not trying to be racist or anything, but like they're just I don't know. So yeah. Police largely police have largely refrained from direct action against the blockades since the RCMP enforced an injunction outside Houston, BC, earlier this month, where opponents of the Coastal GasLink project were preventing access to a work site for the pipeline. While more than 20 people were arrested and the company is preparing to resume work, the RCMP raid sparked more protests and blockades across the country. Scheer wants to end the illegal blockade. Federal Conservative leader Andrew Scheer. Oh, no, this is old. Andrew Scheer is not the Conservative leader anymore. So this is old. said last week that Trudeau should tell public safety minister Bill Barnwell to use his authority under the RCMP Act to end what he called the illegal blockades. I don't think this is the right thing. This isn't new. Well, let me see when that was dated. So CBC. Where did I find CBC? No, CBC. Go to the top. David Suzuki. Well, forward then. Their forward button. There. This is CBC. What's it dated? Yeah, February 17th, 2020. Okay, so it is up to date. But why is federal? But he's not federal. Oh no, he is until they find a new one. Is that right? Okay, maybe that's right. Okay. Maybe it is correct. Okay. But Trudeau shot back, arguing that Canada is not a country where politicians get to tell the police what to do in operational matters. But if you don't, I don't know, if you don't tell them to do it, they're not going to do anything. You're going to let them stay there, and they're going to cause a lot of trouble. But like, do you want to sit? That's the thing, Trudeau. Do you want to sit down with the native leaders and say, figure a good way of doing this? I don't know. Anyway, that's what I have to say about it. I think Trudeau should sit down with these people and figure out a way to do this. Maybe he has. I don't know. But okay, where's it? Yeah, but okay. Thus far, the public-facing part of Trudeau's plan appears to center on discussions and negotiations rather than police action. Which is good. You don't have to get forced, physical, and violent. Shortly after the emergency session in Ottawa, Bennett, the federal minister of Crown Indigenous Relations, sat down with her BC counterpart, Scott Fraser. In a joint statement, Bennett and Fraser said they had sent a letter to the Wet'suwet'en, can't read that word, hereditary chiefs, saying the ministers were ready to meet to discuss their concern. Because their concern is, what if it goes into what if it breaks and goes into our land, and you cannot just disrupt our land, and this is our land, and it's like, yeah, but we need to get this stuff somehow, and find a different way. It's like, but there is no safe way. Yet, while the federal government appears to be planning at least part of its hopes on that meeting to resolve the crisis, no data has yet been set. Okay, that's it. Yeah, don't know. I think that's about all there is about that. But yeah, so that's the pipeline, and it hasn't affected us yet, but it might, because food comes through the trains, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, so does chlorine to purify our water comes from the trains, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, that's what's been happening here. It's kind of a big deal. Well, because also Trudeau claimed is it reunification? Is that the word? With the Indigenous people, he's gonna reunify with the, I don't know. So that's what happened there. I don't know. I think Trudeau should just talk with them and see if they can come up with something else. I'm just saying, I wouldn't want to be Trudeau right now. That would suck, because I'd have to talk to them and have to figure out a better way. I don't know. Because it just goes back to, environmentally this is not good, and then you're going to break up our land, destroy our land. So really, what are you going to do? Nothing. But then people don't get natural gas and all that. So anyway, that was that. Let's talk about something more light now. I don't know, find something more light now. I don't know, let's go see. Yeah, the new Animal Crossing game for Switch is, well, it's gonna, because in the old games apparently I don't know if it's like 100% I never played them, like firsthand I never played them, but apparently you can have more than one island. Is it? Let me look this up, make sure I'm getting this right. Yeah, island, okay. Animal Crossing New Horizon launches on Nintendo Switch in only a few weeks, and for the first time in the series, up to 8 players will be able to live together on the same island. However, if another player who shares the system would like to have their own island, it appears they will be out of luck. Yeah, they're not allowed to have their own island. You can have people on the same island, but you can't have it per. And it's not per game, right? Like the old ones were per game, right? No, this is per system. I was watching or listening to completely necessary podcast, and Pat and Ian were talking about this, and it's like, well, sometimes there's a reason you want to do that. Like, you want to have your own island, right? Personally have your own island, but so you don't mess anything up in the island you're on, because you can have 8 people on the same island, right? Apparently, yeah, according to some according to GameSpot, is that it? I don't know. But yes. So, I'm not saying it's bad. Like, I don't know. Learn to share, learn to not break things. I don't know. But what happens if we get a little they're like, what happens if we get a little brother? And I don't know. That kind of stuff, right? Yeah, so. Because it was very confusing. Cause, like, what would stop it from being more than one island? Like, what hinders it from being. Is there a reason you're making it one island? Because people used to just buy if you wanted more islands in something like New Leaf, I think it was New Leaf, you'd have to get another game. But at least there, you're getting another game, and you're not having to buy a whole system, because it's tied to the system. So if you want another one, you have to buy a new system, which is a lot, you know? I don't know. It's just weird, because what would stop them from doing that? Or at least make it per game, right? Not necessarily make more in one like a game, but at least make each game have an island, be able to have an island. So, I don't know. What else are they talking about? Let's see. So yeah. Yeah, there's apparently a prototype Nintendo 64 controller that had like a screen on it, which looked like. Let me see if I can find a picture of the prototype. You know how like the Dreamcast had the VMU? Well, apparently the N64 was going to have one. Screen prototype. See, the Nintendo 64 controller almost had its own private second screen. Private, that was the other thing too. So it'd be good for like sports games when you wanted to pick a team member, right? Or pick somebody like your team and they didn't see. Pick your, not team, pick your score, pick your whatever. Because it looks kind of like this. Was that physically molded in? Few controllers in history of video gaming had to do so much heavy lifting as the Nintendo 64. It looked kind of like this. Which they kind of scrapped. But if you know the Nintendo 64, they scrapped it. But it looks like this. Right? So, yeah. Let's keep thinking. Okay. It not only introduced Nintendo fans to analog control sticks, it also included a slot for memory cards and eventually the heavy rumble pack accessory. A second screen accessory almost happened too. Oh, accessory, so it is an accessory, okay. But instead found its way into another classic console, yeah, the Dreamcast. If you have even a passing interest in classic console gaming, particularly hardware and accessories that never saw the light of day, it's worth following Sean Beatty on Twitter, who shares stories and pics from his immersive collection of retro gaming hardware and development systems. A few months ago, he shared images of the rare N64 controller prototype with a joystick design that looks It looks vastly superior to what Nintendo eventually went with. But last week, Bette shared an even rarer find that could have made the N64 the console of choice for sports fans. Yeah, see? Because sports fans... Let me see. Because that was the thing that would cheat. You just look at the screen or look at the controller, look over the controller and see what they're picking, right? Which I was like, okay, what's the point of that? Like, what's wrong with that? But I don't know. There's something wrong with that. As featured in an old issue of Electronic Monthly. Oh yeah, there's like a what's my the Dreamcast had one. So as featured in an old issue of Electronic Monthly, Gaming Monthly magazine, apparently a developer named Dean Golden created a second screen accessory for the Nintendo 64 that added a small display to the center that can only be seen by whoever is holding it. It was similar to an idea to Nintendo's DS second screen, allowing gameplay elements to be moved away from the mountain. Main. And according to Golden, it was inspired by his brother's attempt to cheat while playing football and picking at which plays he was selecting. Unlike DS, the second screen, however, so yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess it would have been interesting for like sports games. I don't know. I don't know if I would have used it because I didn't have a N64 like when it came out. I had it because I wasn't born. I think. Yeah, I believe so. But I never played sports games on the. Well, I played NBA Jam on and Ready Ready to Rumble on PlayStation. Yeah. Oh no, on N64. Sorry, which is fine. Uh, so yeah. So yeah, I think that'll be it for now, guys. So adios, mi amigos.